The morning began like any other ordinary Saturday. Sunlight slipped gently through the kitchen window as I stood by the stove, flipping pancakes, while the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Across the table, my daughter Lily sat with her messy morning hair, scrolling through her phone while pretending to listen to me. "Lily, you're not even hearing a word I'm saying, are you?" I said with a half-smile. She looked up, slightly guilty, but then grinned. "I am. You said something about cleaning my room." "Not exactly." I laughed, but nice try. Lily was 16, smart, stubborn, and the center of my world since the day she was born. Her mother had passed away years ago, and since then it had always been just the two of us against the world. We had built our own little routine of jokes, late-night movies, and long talks about life. Her phone, of course, was practically an extension of her hand. Every teenager I knew seemed glued to one these days, and that phone would soon turn our lives upside down. After breakfast, Lily grabbed her backpack and rushed toward the door. "Wait," I called out. "Where are you going so early?" "Emily's house. We have a project," she replied quickly. Before I could say another word, she hurried down the porch steps. That's when it happened. Her foot slipped on the last step. "Ah," she gasped. Her phone flew out of her hand, spinning through the air before smashing face down on the concrete. The sound made my heart drop. Lily froze. Slowly, she picked it up and looked at the screen. A spiderweb of cracks stretched across the glass. "Oh no," she whispered. I walked over and examined it. The screen flickered faintly, colors glitching for a moment before going dark. "Looks like the screen's gone," I said. Lily sighed dramatically, like her entire world had just collapsed. "Dad, my whole life is on this phone." I chuckled. "Pretty sure your life existed before smartphones." She rolled her eyes. "Very funny. Luckily, I knew someone who could fix it. A few blocks away was a small repair shop owned by my old friend Marcus. Marcus and I had been friends for nearly 20 years. Back when we were younger, he had always been fascinated by computers and electronics. While I went into business, he followed his passion and eventually opened his own phone and laptop repair shop. He could fix almost anything. "Come on," I said. "Let's take it to Marcus." Her face brightened immediately. Really. The shop was small but cozy, tucked between a barber shop and a bakery on Main Street. The familiar bell above the door jingled as we stepped inside. The room smelled faintly of solder and warm electronics. Phones, tablets, and laptops covered the counters. Behind the workbench, Marcus looked up from a half-disassembled laptop. He smiled when he saw us. "Well, if it isn't my favorite customers," he joked. "Hey, Marcus," I said. Lily placed the broken phone on the counter. I dropped it. Marcus picked it up carefully, studying the cracked screen. "Ouch," he said. "That's a nasty one. Can you fix it?" Lily asked. He shrugged. "Probably. Let me check." Marcus plugged the phone into a diagnostic device and began tapping away at his computer. The screen flickered again briefly as the phone powered partially on. For the first few minutes, everything seemed normal. He hummed quietly as he worked, but then something changed. Marcus suddenly stopped typing. His eyes narrowed. He leaned closer to the monitor. "What is it?" I asked casually. He didn't answer. Instead, he clicked through several windows on the computer screen. The glow from the monitor reflected in his glasses as his expression slowly shifted from curiosity to confusion. Then to concern. A long moment of silence passed. "Marcus," I said again. He still didn't respond. Instead, he unplugged the phone, picked it up, and looked around the shop as if making sure no one else was nearby. Friendly atmosphere suddenly felt tense. My stomach tightened. "Is something wrong?" I asked. Marcus finally looked at me. But the relaxed smile he usually wore was gone. In its place was something I had never seen before. "Worry? Hey," he said quietly. "Yeah." He glanced toward Lily. "Can I talk to you for a second?" "Sure," I said. He motioned toward the back room. Lily stayed by the counter, scrolling through her friend's messages on my phone while we stepped behind the small divider. As soon as we were out of earshot, Marcus lowered his voice. His tone was careful, serious. "Listen to me," he said. I frowned. "What's going on?" Marcus hesitated for a moment, like he was choosing his words carefully. Then he said something that instantly made my blood run cold. "Cancel your credit cards," he said quietly. I blinked. "What? Change all your passwords?" he continued. My confusion grew. "Marcus, what are you talking about?" His voice dropped even lower. "And when you leave here," he said, "go straight home, pack what you need, and leave immediately." My heart started pounding. "Marcus," I said slowly, "you're scaring me." He swallowed and glanced toward the front of the shop again. Then he turned his computer screen toward me. "Just look." I stepped closer. The screen displayed a complex list of files, strange apps, and lines of code I didn't understand. But even I could tell something wasn't right. Marcus pointed to a folder labeled with a strange name. "This shouldn't be here," he said. "What is it?" I asked. He opened the folder. Inside were dozens of hidden applications. Some were recording tools, others were remote access programs. One of them showed a list of saved passwords. My passwords, bank accounts, emails, everything. My chest tightened. "Marcus, what is this?" He exhaled slowly. "Your daughter's phone," he said carefully, "has been hacked." The words hit me like a brick. "Hacked?" He nodded grimly. "And whoever did this, they're not just watching her." He clicked another file. A message window opened. Several messages appeared on the screen. I didn't recognize the sender, but I did recognize something else. My name, my address, my bank. My breathing grew shallow. "Marcus," I whispered. His face had gone pale. "You need to call the police," he said. I stared at the screen, trying to process what I was seeing. "Why?" Marcus slowly pointed to the last message in the chat, the one that had been sent only an hour earlier. The message read ***, "Tonight we empty his accounts, ***. My heart stopped. Marcus looked me straight in the eyes. "You're being targeted." A cold wave of fear rushed through me. Out in the shop, Lily laughed softly at something on my phone, completely unaware of what was happening. Marcus placed the hacked phone on the table between us. His voice dropped to a whisper. "And there's something else you need to see." He turned the screen slightly closer. "What?" I asked. Marcus hesitated. Then he opened one final message, and when I saw the name attached to it, my entire world shifted. Because the person behind it was someone I knew very well. And in that moment, I pulled out my phone. And I dialed the police. My hand trembled slightly as I lowered my phone after dialing the police. The call hadn't lasted long. I told them only the essentials: possible hacking, financial theft, suspicious activity on a phone. They said officers would arrive soon and advised us not to touch anything else. Now the small repair shop suddenly felt very different. The humming of electronics, the ticking wall clock, even the faint sound of traffic outside seemed louder than before. Marcus sat across from me, his face tense as he carefully navigated through the phone's data on his computer. "Tell me exactly what you're seeing," I said quietly. Marcus sighed and rubbed his forehead. "This isn't just a cracked screen repair anymore," he said. "Whoever did this installed advanced spyware." "Spyware," I repeated. He nodded. "Programs that secretly monitor everything on the phone: messages, passwords, emails, photos, even the microphone and camera." A chill ran down my spine. "You're saying they could hear us?" Marcus turned the phone around slowly. "If the malware was active, yes." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The thought that someone might have been listening to my daughter's life, watching through her camera, reading her private messages, it made my stomach turn. Marcus opened another hidden folder. More files appeared. "Look at this," he said. Inside were logs. Long lists of recorded activity, dates, times, and transfers of data. Photos uploaded, contacts copied, passwords extracted. Marcus muttered as he scrolled. Then he paused, his eyes widened. "Oh no." "What?" I asked quickly. He clicked another file. The screen filled with a list of saved accounts. I immediately recognized several of them. My email, my business account, my online banking login, even my digital wallet. "How is that possible?" I whispered. Marcus leaned back in his chair. The spyware captured everything your daughter typed or saved, he explained. If she ever logged into your accounts, even once, the hacker could copy the information. I suddenly remembered something. A few weeks earlier, Lily had borrowed my laptop and asked for one of my passwords to order something online. My heart sank. They have access to everything, I murmured. Marcus nodded grimly, and it gets worse. He opened the messaging app we had seen earlier. The hidden chat window popped up again. Several conversations were stored there. Most of them were between two anonymous usernames. Marcus clicked on one. The messages began appearing on the screen. My chest tightened as we read them together. Asterisk asterisk user A. Asterisk asterisk did you get access? Asterisk asterisk user B. Asterisk asterisk yes. Full access now. Asterisk asterisk user A. Asterisk asterisk bank info. Asterisk asterisk user B. Asterisk asterisk all of it. And my pulse quickened. Marcus kept scrolling. Asterisk asterisk user A. Asterisk asterisk good. Wait until Friday night. That's when we move the money. Asterisk asterisk user B. Asterisk asterisk understood. The next message was the one we had seen earlier. Asterisk asterisk tonight we empty his accounts. Asterisk asterisk a heavy silence filled the room. I clenched my fists. This is insane, I said. Marcus didn't respond immediately. Instead, he clicked on the profile icon of one of the users. Let's see if there's any information here, he muttered. The profile details appeared. At first glance, it looked anonymous. No real name, no photo, but Marcus was persistent. He opened the metadata, then the linked device ID, then a connected email address, and suddenly he froze. The room went completely silent. Marcus, I said slowly. He didn't answer. Instead, he stared at the screen, as if hoping he had read it wrong. What is it? I asked. Marcus turned the monitor slightly toward me. You might want to sit down, he said quietly. My heart started pounding again. I leaned forward and looked at the email address connected to the account. The name was partially hidden, but there was enough visible to recognize it. My breath caught in my throat. No, I whispered. It couldn't be, but the more I looked, the more undeniable it became. I knew that name. I knew that email. It belonged to someone who had been inside my house many times, someone who had eaten at my dinner table, someone who had laughed with my daughter. My hands began to shake. This doesn't make sense, I said. Marcus swallowed hard. I was hoping I was wrong, he said, but the device signature confirms it. My mind raced through memories. Conversations, visits, trust, all of it suddenly felt poisoned. You're telling me, I said slowly, that someone we know hacked my daughter's phone. Marcus nodded. Yes. I felt anger rising in my chest like a storm. But why? I asked. Marcus opened another file. A new set of messages appeared. These ones were different. They weren't about passwords or data. They were about money. Large amounts of money, my money. One message stood out. Marcus highlighted it. Asterisk asterisk user A. Asterisk asterisk, he trusts me completely. He'll never suspect. My heart sank. Marcus kept scrolling. Another message appeared. Asterisk asterisk user B. Asterisk asterisk, once we transfer the money, we disappear. A heavy knot formed in my stomach. Everything suddenly made horrible sense. The visits, the questions about my business, the casual conversations about finances. They hadn't been friendly curiosity. They had been planning to steal everything from me. From my daughter, from our life. Marcus leaned back slowly. I'm really sorry, he said quietly. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Outside the back room, Lily was still chatting happily, unaware that her phone had become the center of a criminal plot. Footsteps echoed outside. Then we heard the shop bell ring. 2 police officers stepped inside. Marcus exhaled softly. They're here. I stood up slowly. My emotions were a mixture of anger, fear, and something deeper. Betrayal. As the officers walked toward us, one of them asked calmly, who made the call? I did. I said. The officer nodded. What seems to be the problem? I looked at the hacked phone on the table. then back at the officer. My voice was steady now. "There's someone planning to steal everything from my family," I said. The officer exchanged a glance with his partner. "And do you know who it is?" he asked. I took a slow breath. Then I pointed to the screen. "Yes," I said quietly. "And I want them caught." The two police officers listened carefully as Marcus explained everything he had discovered. The shop had grown quiet. Even Lily sensed something was wrong now. She sat in a chair near the counter, watching us with worried eyes while one of the officers spoke softly with her, trying not to frighten her. Meanwhile, Marcus walked the other officer through the evidence on his computer, hidden spyware, password logs, data transfers, and the messages. The officer leaned closer to the screen, his expression growing more serious with every file Marcus opened. "This is sophisticated," he said finally. Marcus nodded. "Not something a random kid installs for fun. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." The officer turned to me. "Sir, has your daughter downloaded anything unusual recently? Any suspicious apps or links?" I shook my head slowly. "She uses social media, messaging apps, games, normal teenage stuff." Marcus cleared his throat. "That's probably how it got in," he said. "A fake app or a malicious link?" The officer wrote notes in a small notebook. "And the messages?" he asked. Marcus pulled them up again. The officers studied the conversation carefully. One of them pointed to the email address connected to the account. "Do you recognize this?" he asked me. I hesitated. My heart felt heavy. "Yes," I said quietly. "Who is it?" For a moment I struggled to speak the words. Because saying the name out loud would make it real. "It belongs to someone I know," I finally said. The officer waited. "Someone close to the family." The two officers exchanged a glance. "That's very important information," one of them said. I nodded. "I know." They asked me several questions: how long I had known this person, when they had last visited, whether they had ever used Lily's phone. Every question felt like a needle poking through memories I once trusted. Yes, they had visited many times. Yes, they had sat in our living room. Yes, Lily had once let them borrow her charger. Maybe even her phone for a moment. At the time, it meant nothing. Now it meant everything. The officers contacted the cybercrime unit. Within an hour, 2 specialists arrived at the shop with equipment of their own. They carefully copied the phone's data and the files Marcus had uncovered. One of the specialists, a calm woman named Detective Harris, spoke with me privately. "We're going to analyze everything," she said. "But from what I've seen so far, this appears to be a financial theft operation." "How serious is it?" I asked. She looked at me honestly. "Very." My stomach tightened. "They were planning to drain your accounts tonight," she continued. "If your friend hadn't noticed the malware, they probably would have succeeded." I glanced at Marcus across the room. He gave me a small, reassuring nod. Detective Harris continued. "The good news is we now know about the plan before it happens." "So what happens next?" I asked. She folded her arms thoughtfully. "We watch them." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "We let them think their plan is still working." The idea surprised me. "You want them to go through with it?" "Exactly," she said. She explained the strategy carefully. The police would monitor the hackers' activity. My bank accounts would be secured and temporarily protected. If the criminals attempted the transfer, the police would track exactly where the money was going. That would lead them directly to the people behind it. "We catch them in the act," she said. I slowly nodded. It made sense, but something still weighed on me. "Detective," I said quietly. "Yes. If the person behind this really is who I think it is, my daughter knows them." Her expression softened slightly. "I understand," she said. "That's why we'll handle this carefully." Across the shop, Lily watched us nervously. I walked over and sat beside her. "Dad, what's happening?" she asked. I forced a gentle smile. "Just a small problem with the phone," I said. She frowned. "That doesn't look small." I hesitated. I didn't want to scare her, but she deserved honesty. "Someone tried to mess with the phone's software," I explained carefully. "The police are helping us fix it. Her eyes widened slightly. Like hacking, I nodded, but everything's under control. She looked down at the cracked phone on the counter. I'm sorry, Dad. For what? If I hadn't dropped it, we wouldn't have discovered this. I gently squeezed her shoulder. Exactly, I said. She looked up, confused. What do you mean? If the phone hadn't broken, I explained, we might never have known someone was trying to hurt us. Her expression slowly shifted from guilt to understanding. Then she hugged me tightly. I'm glad you took it to Marcus, she whispered. So am I. Later that evening, I sat at home with Detective Harris, while technicians monitored the activity remotely. Marcus had helped them set up a secure connection. The hacked phone sat on the coffee table like a silent witness. The house felt strangely tense. Every minute felt longer than the last. Finally, one of the technicians spoke. They're active. Detective Harris looked up immediately. Where? Remote access from another device, he said. They're checking the accounts. My pulse quickened. They think everything's normal, he added. Good. Harris replied calmly. We watched the screen as the hacker navigated through the stolen information. Emails, bank pages, saved passwords. Then they opened my banking dashboard. My heart pounded. They're preparing the transfer, the technician said. Detective Harris spoke into her radio. All units ready. The room went quiet again. Seconds passed. Then the technician leaned forward. They've initiated the transaction. Harris nodded once. Trace it. Numbers began appearing rapidly across the monitor. Digital trails, IP addresses, device IDs, then suddenly the technician pointed at the screen. Location found. Detective Harris stood. Where? The technician read the address. And when I heard it, my blood ran cold, because I knew that address. Very well, it wasn't some distant criminal hiding behind a computer. It was someone much closer, someone who had smiled at my daughter, someone who had pretended to be part of our lives. Detective Harris grabbed her radio. Units move in. I stared at the screen, my fists clenched. The betrayal hurt more than the theft ever could, but now there was no escape for them. Tonight, they would finally face justice. The room felt suffocatingly quiet after the address appeared on the screen. I stared at the monitor, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I already knew that place. I had been there before, many times. Detective Harris grabbed her radio. All units move in, she ordered calmly. Her voice was steady, but the urgency in it was unmistakable. Within seconds, officers across the city were responding. Cars were already heading toward the location. I swallowed hard. Detective, that address, I said quietly. She turned toward me. You know it. I nodded slowly. Yes, she studied my face carefully. Whose house is it? For a moment, the words refused to leave my mouth. Because once I said them, the truth would become permanent. It's my brother-in-law's house, I said finally. Detective Harris raised an eyebrow. Your wife's brother. I nodded. His name is Daniel. Even saying his name felt strange now. Daniel had always seemed like family. He had been around Lily since she was little. He came to birthdays. Holidays, barbecues. He joked with me about work. He asked about my business. He played video games with Lily when she was younger. All those memories suddenly felt poisoned. Detective Harris spoke into her radio again. Suspect identified, Daniel Carter. The officers on the other end confirmed. Then we waited. Those next 15 minutes felt like hours. The technicians kept monitoring the hackers' activity. They're trying to move the money in smaller transfers now. One of them said, Let them. Harris replied calmly. They think they're getting away with it. I clenched my fists, but strangely, the anger inside me had started to settle into something colder. Something quieter. Justice was coming. Finally, the radio crackled. Unit 3 at location. A voice said. Detective Harris stepped closer to the radio. Status. Lights on inside. 2 individuals present. 2. So Daniel wasn't alone. Another voice came through. Ready to enter on your command. Harris nodded. Proceed. The room went silent again. Then we heard it through the radio. Heavy footsteps. A door being forced open. Police, don't move. A loud crash followed. Someone shouting, Then another voice yelled, "He's running." My heart skipped. The radio filled with noise for several seconds, footsteps, shouting, then finally, "Suspect in custody." The words felt like a weight lifting off my chest. "Second suspect detained," another officer added. Detective Harris exhaled slowly. "It's over." 2 hours later, I stood outside the police station. The night air was cold and quiet. Police cars lined the street. Detective Harris approached me with a folder in her hand. "We've confirmed everything," she said. "Daniel was working with a partner. They installed the spyware when he borrowed Lily's phone during your last family dinner. I remembered that night." Daniel had asked Lily if he could check something online quickly. She had handed him the phone without thinking. None of us had suspected anything. He planned it for weeks. Harris continued. "They were waiting until they had enough information to drain your accounts." I shook my head slowly. "I trusted him." She nodded sympathetically. "Unfortunately, people who commit financial crimes often target people they know." At that moment, the station doors opened. 2 officers walked out with Daniel in handcuffs. My chest tightened. He looked very different now. No confident smile, no casual jokes, just fear. When he saw me, he froze. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he tried. "Look, I can explain," he said weakly. I stared at him calmly. "No," I replied. "You can explain it to the judge." His shoulders dropped. The officers guided him toward the police car. But before he got inside, he looked back at me one last time. "You ruined my life," he muttered bitterly. For a moment I simply looked at him. Then I answered quietly, "No, you did that yourself." The door closed, the car drove away, and just like that, it was over. When I returned home later that night, Lily was sitting on the couch waiting for me. She stood up immediately. "Dad, what happened?" I sat down beside her. "The police caught them." I said gently. Her eyes widened. "The hackers." I nodded. "They won't be able to hurt anyone else." She looked relieved. Then she asked the question I had been dreading. "Who was it?" I hesitated. Then I decided the truth was better than hiding it. "It was Daniel," I said quietly. Her eyes filled with shock. "Uncle Daniel." I nodded slowly. She sat down again, trying to process it. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why would he do that?" I placed an arm around her shoulders. "Sometimes people make terrible choices when they care more about money than about people." She leaned against me. "I feel weird," she said softly. "That's normal." I told her. After a moment, she looked up at me. "Are we safe now?" I smiled gently. "Yes." She hugged me tightly, and in that moment, I realized something important. The hackers hadn't taken anything from us. They failed. Our money was safe. Our home was safe. And most importantly, my daughter was safe. Justice had been served, and the people who betrayed us would spend a long time thinking about the price of their choices. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't anger. Sometimes it's simply the truth catching up with those who thought they could escape it.